Let us disprove Darwin for non-scientists. Very smart reasons that disprove evolution for us dummies. This is part 2.
So I was looking at this, I was doing research. I was looking at this gentleman who did a TED Talk about Darwin, Darwin's theory, and he said it should have been believed fact. And he goes back and he just, it's frustrating because it's Darwin is for dummies. You got to really think about the facts involved in this, but Darwin is for dummies. He is past the year 2000. This man should never have believed in Darwin's theory of evolution. It really is a false theory.
Story that's very interesting to me, which is that when Charles Darwin published his Origin of Species in 1859, the world was, on average, a much more religious world than it is today. The world has become much more secular. And of course, his one book didn't have that much evidence. But within 10 or 15 years, the scientific debate over evolution was over.
Things smart people know.
Scientists say that Darwin's theory is full of shit because it has so many holes in it. We talk about that in this video series, but I think they don't because they have a community of other scientists that they have to face every day. And I'm not a scientist. I love science, and I love it. Somebody asked me, "Are you anti-scientist?" Science, and I said, "No. I'm basically pro-science. I love it, but science has to be true. Otherwise, it's just false belief systems like religions do." So it's like, to me, I'm not a scientist. I have no axe to grind. If these videos go away forever, someday they'll pull them out maybe and say, hey, he was right or he was wrong. But to me, I'm not a scientist, so I don't have to combat with scientists. I don't have to argue with scientists. If, of course, there's some argument that you want to make to me, that's fine. I've already put my email address on it, but I just think that they're not saying this is full of shit because they are afraid of fellow scientists. Thank you.
Please see DGM Insights channel and subscribe. If common sense was common, why doesn't everyone have it? Things smart people know.
Okay, so this is stubbornness of belief and why Darwin evolution isn't going away. So I was in a religious cult, and their belief system, they had a mathematical process where they proved that Jesus was coming back in 1914. And so they did this whole mathematical scheme, and they had one of the temples of Jerusalem falling in 607 BCE. And actually, they know that the temple fell in 587, 86, 87 BCE. So it would mess up their whole scenario. So in the 1950s, they had archaeologically finds, about 10,000 of them, and they kind of pinpointed the date, or permanently pinpointed the date as 586, 587 of this. Now they do it by kings, and they know going backwards, they do it mathematically. So there is no reason to believe that the temple fell in 607, except for this religious cult who couldn't admit that they were wrong for 100 years or so. So it's stubbornness of belief. So they still kept preaching it, teaching it, and so they found 6 places that supposedly said that it fell in 607, and like 2 of them did not say that at all, and 4 of them were really just screw-ups. And so 6 places to have one belief, or 10,000 to have another belief. And it's like, it's a good example of outrageous beliefs that won't change, because they built their whole culture, they built their whole religion, they built all their sayings around the idea that this temple fell, and then that this mathematical process, which the Bible never talks about, means that this happened in 1914. So, and their original prognostication, their original prophesying of it was like several other years. And so they were just trying to come up with something. So their history so that's the cult part. But scientists, they're really kind of ignoring the facts if they believe in Darwinian evolution, and they're ignoring a huge amount of facts if they're atheists. And many of them are turning back to a belief in God. I just wanted to show how stubbornness belief systems can be, instead of being truly honest and being, the scientists say, well, we're honest, and no, you're not. You're not being honest with yourself. And so that's what I think.
Please see DGM Insights channel and subscribe. If common sense was common, why doesn't everyone have it? Things smart people know. If evolution is wrong, what else is wrong?
So, I was talking about Darwinian evolution being wrong, mathematically impossible. And I was thinking, what other things are probably wrong? Or their consideration of the origin is incorrect. For example, it's called the caveman excuse. Psychologists say, well, we do this because we come from cavemen. Well, okay, so we do this because our cultures, way back when they were herding goats and sheep and tending and living in tents or caves, started doing it this way because of the local environment. Doesn't mean we should be doing it ourselves. It's made me wonder, past the year 2000, how many things should have changed in our understanding when we realized that Darwinian evolution is probably wrong, and our culture is accelerates and it goes forward based on previous cultures. And so we have our culture, and there's some really abysmal cultures in this planet. But if you think there's a divine intelligence or a creator intelligence, what would they think of who we are and what we do and how we're not growing very fast? Parts of us are, parts of us aren't. Parts are stubbornly going back to what they believe is true. And I do something about, I'm doing a video about stubbornness in belief systems. Anyway, it's something to think about.
Please see DGM Insights channel and subscribe. If common sense was common, why doesn't everyone have it? Things smart people know. Don't teach Darwinism in schools, what all parents should know.
Okay, so it's a political view, but here's the idea of teaching Darwin in schools. It doesn't take a huge mind to figure out that it's mathematically impossible for all those factors to come together all at once and produce life. Even in perfect conditions, it doesn't produce life. It might produce some of the factors that could produce life, but not on a swirling earth of mud and goo. So the idea of teaching evolution in the schools as a fact is probably, especially since it's mathematically impossible, since about the year 2000 they know that. They see how complex this system is. And you could have 50 computers and you put in gibberish in all the computers and it's not going to produce a new program. You can do 50 million, 50 trillion, 500 trillion. It's not going to produce anything of useful value. The code is so complex that it shouldn't be taught as a fact in school. Mathematically, it's impossible. And I don't see how you can... They say, no, it's not impossible, but it's really, really unlikely. Improbable. So why would you teach that as fact? Especially when a lot of, more than half of the scientists don't believe in evolution, believe in some sort of intelligent design or creator idea. So, and a lot of people who were atheists in evolution are not anymore because the facts are overwhelming. So don't teach it in the schools. You can teach both. You can teach the mathematical probability. It might be good for a math class, but you can, because it really is astounding how you wouldn't really want to believe this as fact or teach it as fact. And then there's intelligent design and there's God. And those are things that many push at because of negative experiences. I was in a church and they hated Christians. And I won't say what church, but they were kind of semi-Christian, but they hated Christians. And it's because of all the tragedies Christians have done. So a lot of atheists and a lot of evolutionists are having anger that really isn't scientific and really makes it biased for them to believe that something mathematically impossible is true. Anyway, thank you.
Please see DGM Insights channel and subscribe. If common sense was common, why doesn't everyone have it?